Hello everyone, welcome back. This is Manigandan. So in this video we are going to discuss how we can perform passwordless authentication, which means in order to access any target server, usually we have to put our user ID password. That will help us to get into the system if it is valid user ID and password. Instead of putting user ID and password each and every time, we can go for private key based authentication, which means that is called passwordless authentication. You don't need to type any user ID and password. Let's see how we can do that part. This is my local VM which is running Parrot OS. I mean the fundamental it has Parrot OS. Here you can see the system IP address is that 172.20.240.127. So in order to access this system, what we can do, we can open putty where we can type the system IP address 172.20.240.127. then it will be prompted to enter user ID password. Here you can see what is my system user ID, that is called root, and I know the password, so I am going to type password. Then it will allow to access the particular system. But this is a traditional way that we are getting to the system, but I don't want to enter each and every time in order to access that particular system. So instead of putting user ID and password, I wish to go for passwordless authentication. How we can do that part? So in order to get into the system via passwordless based authentication, usually we can generate private key file, I mean SSH hyphen keychain. So it will generate one private key and public key file, but we don't want to go like this method. I will tell you in a simplest way. Just to cancel it, you have to install private putty software in your system. In default it has putty generation file. I mean this utility will help us to generate private key and public key file. So I am going to generate private key file. How we can generate? Just click the generate file, and you can scroll your mouse in top to bottom and left to right rotationally, so that based on the movement it will generate a random key file. So just to rotate, it will take some time to complete this process, so please do it. So yeah, so once it is completed, then what it will say, you can see we can save private key file. So this is the file that we need to have in order to access the server. So I'm going to save today date 22/11-202. So I'm going in desktop itself, I'm going to save this file. So I have saved the private key file, but here you can see we can save this public file. This file needs to be there in the system, I mean to say target server. But here you can see public key for pasting into open SSH authorized key file. So just to copy this file, let me tell you what is the authorized key file. So I'm just to copy the content. Let me copy the content. Okay, just click the SSH-RSA and copy. Right click, and you will be having the option to copy the content. So I have copied this file. Before that, let me explain what is authorized key file. So whenever you are generating any key file, basically those key file will be saved in this particular directory, that is called root.ssh. Under there are two file will be there. Let me go to the particular directory. In default it won't be there, but whenever you are generating SSH-key child, this file will be there, that is called IDRSA and IDRSA public key file. So as I said, this is the one of way that we can perform passwordless authentication, but I don't want to follow this method. So instead of doing this method, I am going to generate the private key file using private key generator. Here you can see already we copied this public key file. So what you have to do, for example, just to notice that the directory root-ssh. So in default if it is there, well and good, or else if it is not in this particular directory, you have to create .ssh directory. So under root, I mean to say wherever you want to perform passwordless authentication, whether it could be a root user, it could be a normal user, under that you specified a root account, you have to create this directory that is called .ssh. So under .ssh you have to create one more file that is called authoristic key file. I will tell you how this authoristic key file will work. Let me open this file into Nano. So let me remove rest of the content. I don't want to save it. I don't want to keep it any existing key file, so I'm going to remove everything. I'm going to copy and paste it over there. Okay, so you can see I have copied a public key file. So under Control X. So now we have saved the public key file into authoristic key file. So I have saved this file. Before that, let me tell you what is the authoristic key file. So basically, the SSH will work based on the SSH configuration file. Let me tell you. Go to etc ssh and sshd config. So this is the file which will help us to evaluate how SSH service will work. Here you can see, as I said, this is a config file. Here you will get to know all the information. Okay, so whether if you want to restrict password based authentication, you can know you can change those settings in this file. It has a number of feature. I don't want to discuss each and everything, but you can see here, you can see password authentication. Yes, so if you want to restrict to authentication should be via private key based authentication, that time you can put it like the password authentication. No, if you want to restrict via root account, then you can here you can see permit root login, you can restrict no. So this is what this file used to work. Here you can see that authoristic key file. This is the .ssh authorized keys. So whatever information that are present in this authoristic key file, that is where this configuration will comes to picture, and the system will allow to enter the system. So I hope you understand. So authoristic key is the important file where we need to keep all our public key file. So successfully I have entered public key file. Let me try to log into the system. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to type the IP address of the target system. So 172.20.240 is my target IP. 172.20.240.127, that is my IP. Here you can see already I have saved the private key file. So I'm going to browse, go into the desktop. You can see 22. This is the private key file which I copied, I mean to say which I kept while generating the file. So I'm going to open it. Now I have selected the private key file and come to again here. I'm going to click this open. So basically now I'm going to type root. Here you can see now we are successfully get into the system, which means we cannot type any password in order to access the root user, because the authentication is happened behind via private key file. So I hope you understand how we can do the passwordless based authentication. So thank you so much guys. If you have any concern, please leave comment in the comment section below. Thank you so much. Have a nice day.